If you thought you had to decide whether you wanted to go to the beach or go to Havana in Cuba, you can actually do both. Today, I'm heading to Playas del Este. I'm going to share with you the easiest way to get there, all of the prices, what you can see, what you can do, what you can eat. But I have to get going because I've been hiding in the shade, but I can see the bus is about to go. I'm so happy to be on this bus. It was so hot outside. It's very humid. It's the first week of December. I am on a Transtur bus. It's a regular style coach bus. I came in, just this AC. It is so cold. It's lovely. And this is one of the ways to get to Playas del Este beach. They give you this ticket, which you need to keep because this is a hop-on, hop-off bus. Basically, you go there, you keep this ticket, you can come back. And she said it will return 40 minutes on the hour up until 5. I find the 5 o'clock bus tends to be pretty crowded, so I would say go before then. You can also get to the beach with a taxi colectivo. Not sure how you do it, and honestly, I don't know how reliable it is. You can also get by a public bus, which is much cheaper, technically only for Cubans. Again, not as reliable, and if there's a gas shortage, then who knows when it's going to run, when it's going to come back. So I do think this is one of the best ways to get here, unless you have someone who will drive you out. It is 4,000 Cuban pesos. I believe you can also pay by US dollar right now, and it's probably 10 USD. However, I don't recommend paying in USD when you don't have to, because right now the unofficial street rate is $1 to 450 Cuban pesos, which means 10 US dollars is actually 4,500 Cuban pesos, and I only paid 4,000. I saved 500 pesos. Exchange money where you can. Use your Airbnb host to help you do it because things become much cheaper in pesos. I only use US dollars when I tip and when I'm forced to in some hotels. Well, I've arrived, kind of. I'm at the beach, Playas del Este, which is actually the East Beaches is what it translates to. It means 6 beaches. So it's not just this stretch of beach, but it's a number of beaches in the area. If you want to know about all the beaches and you don't want to write down notes from this video, right here, I'm going to have a QR code. It will be the old Havana Beach post that I wrote, along with the updated details for 2025, because actually, back in the day, it used to cost $5, now it's 10. But you know what? The economy has changed, the price of gas has changed, so it's still a really good deal to pay the 4,000 pesos or the 10 US or 10 euro to get here. Now, what's interesting is this has 3 stops now. So they first stop at Megano. Megano is a great, quiet beach that you can rent a lounger. Really nice if you kind of want to get away from it all and be very quiet, because the main beach is actually quite loud, but I love it. It's just like a lot of people, it's Sunday, so there should be a lot of Cubans out here. And then there's a stop for Mar Azul or El Tropical. I think that was actually my stop because I waited until we got to Don Pepe. I think that's what they said the stop was. And when we got off, that was the last stop. I thought, I don't recognize this at all. I am walking down this way. And that is because it's been 5 years since I've been in Havana, but I do remember when you get off, there are a bunch of little places where you can get food, cheap food. They're called like in cajitas, which are little brown boxes. They do not give you a fork or a spoon. You actually peel off part of the cajita and you use it to scoop yourself. So I'm going to show you the main beach. That's my favorite part. Like, I love to be in places where you're just with locals having a good time. I can also see bigger buildings and little tarps of where people are selling the food. So this is a good sign. Now, when we drove in here, actually, you will see that there are some hotels here, which I've listed on that blog post. I've never heard anything good about these hotels other than the location, but actually I do think these are probably better as a day trip. However, there are a lot of little houses that you can rent here, and I've always been curious about that. Some of them are very basic, some of them have pools and things, but I will say this. In my experience, when we used to come to the beach with my friend Giselle and she had a car. She's no longer here, so can't get there by car. At around 6 o'clock, tons of mosquitoes came out. So it's like you're having a really good time at the beach. You want to keep it going, but especially certain times of year, the mosquitoes are insane. Staying overnight, sometimes I think it's just better to head back into the city and the party should end, or it should keep going in the city. It always pays to stop and ask. I stopped at a little place, picked up some water for 200 because you can never have enough water at the beach, and that's not something that they usually sell. They're usually selling either rum or beer. And she did tell me that the primary entrance is down there, but all of these little beach shacks selling food are a little bit more built up than before. They have more food, they have more things. She had shrimp, lobster, chicken. She also had fish and pork, which is Cuban favorite. I don't know what the prices are for all of them, but I took a quick look at the prices. They're actually pretty good. So I think I'm not hungry right now, but I'll definitely be coming back here. And if you can see, there are now quite a few of these. A lot of these places used to be little tents, and it looks like people are doing quite well here. And of course, this is a local beach, so prices will still be for locals, which is great. And also local food, which is even better. Here are some prices here. They're not so bad at all. Everything, the most expensive thing is lobster, which is $3,000, which is pretty incredible that they're actually serving it. And I felt it. I knew we were here at the end of all of this. This is where the tents used to be. And I believe this is actually Mar Azul, which is another hotel that I thought it was weird that the Germans were getting off here, but I think they had been to the beach before. Mar Azul has seen better times. It wasn't as run down. I don't know what's happening, but it was never that great, but it's really not that great. This is a perfect beach day, guys. It is perfect. The sun is out, it is hot. The water here is crystal clear and the sand is soft and it's just turquoise water. This is one of my favorite beaches in the world. Of course, Cuba actually has 300 beaches and a lot of them are fantastic. I'm going to feature others on this trip because I'm leaving Havana, but I'm going to be traveling. But this is my favorite. I'm sad because my friends are no longer here, but also happy that they have moved on with their lives and, you know, are doing really well. So back 2019, the chairs were $1 each, or the beds, and the umbrella was $2. So you could get 2 chairs and an umbrella for $4 for the whole day. Now it's 1 chair and 1 umbrella is 4,000 Cuban pesos. So that's closer to, I think that's $9 US right now with the unofficial toque rate. And it's gone up by $5, but everything else has as well. Also, people are really struggling right now just with the economy, which has severe inflation. And this year there are not as many tourists. So I'm okay with paying that much for a bed for the day. You know, they say a fair price is the one that you're willing to pay, and that is what I am willing to pay. I did enjoy the $4 ones though for the years I was here before, but this beach is worth it. The thing that I love about this beach is that it's also a Cuban beach. So it's early in the morning. All of the tourists, like me, are here to get the early sun. But in a couple of hours, more people will be out selling drinks, selling food, and a lot of Cuban families will be showing up. And that is my favorite part of this beach because I feel like Cuba is a country where tourists enjoy it more than locals, but the beach is one of the places where everyone can enjoy it equally. I think I gotta go in, it's so nice. So I was wrong about the price of the chair and the umbrella. I thought it was 4,000, but it's actually 400. So the guy who takes the money for the chairs came over and I was about to hand him 4,000. He was like, no, it's not 4,000, it's 400. That is less than $1 on the informal market. Cuba doesn't operate under official currency, it operates under like the street currency. So today it's $1 US is 450 pesos and he's charging me less than $1 for both of these things. So I asked him, I said, hey, you know, I used to live here before and it was $2 for the umbrella and $1 for the chair, like what happened? And he said, well, and this is part of it, you know, during the pandemic, they got rid of their 2 currency system and we were paying in cook, where $1 US was 1 cook. I don't know, like these prices have to be changed for inflation. So while I'm here today, I'm definitely going to buy from the street vendors. You know, a lot of people don't like people coming up to them. I don't find it's bad on the beach here, but just remember, when you come to places like this, people are trying to feed their family. So they don't want to be annoying, but they also have a family to feed. So when you come here, you know, be sure that if people are selling snacks or chips or water or beer or whatever, to buy from them, because I'm just shocked that it's this cheap. It's not easy here. All right. One of the things I really wanted to do was read my book. I have a Kobo from 2012. Look how terrible this is, but it still works. And you can download books from the library. So right now I am reading Cuba Beyond the Beach, Stories of Life in Havana. I really like to read books of places that I'm in. Cuba is so complicated. You know, when I was here for 2 years, I didn't make any videos because the longer I stayed here, the more that I felt like I didn't understand the place. You just learn more. It gets super complex. Also, you learn the stories from so many locals of what their life is like. So to explain it to other people is very difficult. If you're interested in kind of reading books or watching documentaries or learning more about Cuba, right here I have an article on my favorite documentaries and books and things that I really like. My favorite movie, hands down, is Havana Blues. You still hear the soundtrack in restaurants today, even though it's from, I think, the 1980s. And that's because the story is about the struggle for Cubans, and it could have been a story that was made today. It's just very, very difficult. So I feel like Cuba has beautiful beaches, but also the story and the energy in Cuba and how people survive and hustle to make it is just really beautiful too. And I just have so much respect for Cubans.
I saw this man come by with the tamales, and I was like, oh, next time he comes around. But actually, I'm hungry. I chased him down, got a tamale. I'll explain what they're like, because tamales in Cuba are different than in Mexico.
Now, the vendor warned me that this is actually hot. It's not so bad right now, but the selling point of him selling this was that he said he had hot tamales, which is good because I think tamales are one of those street foods that if they're warm, this is probably one of your best chances if you have a stomach that is not so strong. Mine is. So I'm not worried about this at all, but I also really just love Cuban tamales. So Mexican tamales, they actually use dried corn masa. So it's dried and then they cook it. This uses fresh corn. So what they do is they actually husk it, like they take it all off the husk and then they boil it with sofrito, so onion, garlic, pepper, maybe some salt, some spices. And then after it cooks down, then they put it almost in this block and then they wrap it up into corn husk and they cook it in a water bath. Sometimes it also has chicharron inside. I don't know if this one does or not, but I think it's one of like the most Cuban things to have. And so that's also why I think it's a good beach dish, because turnover will be fast.
He said, shoot, tomato.
He put a sauce on it. It's a tiny bit spicy. I think it's more like tomato sauce and some vinegar and some garlic. Tamales are simple, filling, and this was only $500, so just over $1 US. I think I actually like this better than Mexican tamales, and that's because they really have this like fresh corn flavor. This is a great snack. Way better than the potato chips they're selling that are imported from Spain. Those are tasty, but when in Cuba, eat Cuban food.
The sun has gone away. I actually think this is a good time for me to go. I've been sitting in the shade of my umbrella, but in the heat, the humidity for almost 6 hours. Just enjoyed my time. I love this beach. Today it's actually pretty chill. There are not a lot of people here. Normally, it's a big party. You know, Cubans bring their own music. So there have been times that I've come here where it's like people blasting music next to each other, bottles of rum, lots of beer, people dancing. Sometimes they start fighting. I saw my only girl-on-girl fight here at this beach. Thankfully, I wasn't part of it. I wouldn't even know what to do. Anyway, I want to go check out that place where I first got water and asked for directions here because she's got fish, and I think that would be a really great way to end the day here. And actually, when you come down here, you do see the list of prices. So I paid the right amount. To have an umbrella was $200. To have a lay down chair is $200. If you wanted just a regular chair, it's only $100. And then prices for the catamaran, they've got a bicycle boat, kayak, double or single, and then also the banana. I have not seen that out today, which is actually pretty crazy because I feel like that is one of the most popular things. What a great day. Just a really, really great day. Angelina, why did you bring sneakers to the beach? And that's actually because I walked from Vedado through Centro into Parque Central to get this bus. And honestly, I feel like one of the best safety tips is when you're traveling solo to wear what other people wear. And guess what, guys? Foreigners are the only ones who wear flip-flops on the street. You will see Cubans wearing them maybe in their home as house shoes or at the beach. They don't wear them. And because I was traveling through Centro by myself with all my stuff, I thought it's not that big of a deal just to put my sneakers on and off. Anyway, but that is a tip for pretty much everywhere. After Cuba, I will be in Colombia, and one of the things that I do to blend in there as well is as soon as I get to Colombia, if I'm like on the beach, or I'll be flying into Cartagena, is I go to a local shoe store and I buy women's shoes there. And so I often get confused, not necessarily, like no one thinks I'm Cuban, but a lot of people think I'm Mexican or I'm Brazilian, based on my Spanish, which is kind of weird. I guess I might sound like a Brazilian speaking Portuguese Spanish. I don't know. Anyway, but my key is always don't look like a Westerner. So that's kind of always what I do. And so far in the 15 years I've had of traveling, it has kind of worked out. Well, except for being robbed 3 times, I guess. But you're always gonna get robbed, not a big deal. People who rob you don't necessarily wanna hurt you. All right, let's go. Fish is next. All right, these restaurants here actually look like they're really well stocked. I know I said that coming in, but actually I'm impressed. Before, seriously, I only ever remember getting cajitas, but it seems like things have really changed with Cuba now importing food from other countries and having private stores. It used to be that the government pretty much controlled all of the supermarkets and things, and then everything else operated on the black market. Yesterday I went to a market in Vedado. Kind of looks like what has happened is that the black market is now legitimate. That brings up a question of taxes. You know, they want you to pay like cash, but there are a lot of places that now have these QR codes, but the QR codes, which still don't exist in Canada, to be honest, but these QR codes are a way for the government to get their taxes. I still pay by cash. You know, Cuba is a cash society for a reason, so I'm just gonna pay cash. So she recognized me immediately when I got here and she said, oh no, everything is sold out except for the lobster, it's $3,800. And I said, oh no, actually I only have $1,500. So I was just gonna get the chicken before I leave. And she said, and I said, oh, another time. And she said, wait a minute, let me give someone a call. So I think she called actually one of the next door restaurants and is gonna get some chicken for me. And I said, let's add a cristal to that. So this is like one of the local beer and it's like typical Latin American beer. But what I realized today, or I read in my book, is that Cristal is a partnership between Canadian brewery Labatt. So there's like a Canadian connection there. So hopefully for lunch, I'm gonna have this and some chicken and then I'll be on my way. Make sure you get a cold beer. There is nothing worse than a warm beer in Cuba. And if they like you, they will get the beer from the back of the fridge. And I think that's what she did for me. Oh, the sun has come out, guys, and let me tell you something. I was feeling very nostalgic for the time of the quijitas, but it's totally different and like way better. This is 1500. I've got moros y cristianos salad, a gigantic piece of chicken that was just fried, and malanga. The chef here, Chef Ele, I was telling him, I was like, oh, the last time I was here was before the pandemic. Like, this is so different than what I used to eat. I'm definitely going to make sure that I get the name of this place for you because the quality is so high. And so I did see the other people eating the lobster and they said it was fantastic. Cuba has changed a lot. People say that it's frozen in time, but it's definitely not frozen in time. But I will say this, in the last 5 years, it has changed so much. So many of the old restaurants that they had, the old way of doing things, are gone, and we're left with these new entrepreneurs, new businesses, and I think this is fantastic. Oh yeah, rice and beans are good. Right now, because of the US dollar, foreign currency being valued here, including the euro, you can get really good food here for not a lot of money. This is a fantastic meal. And they get salad. When I talk about the quijitas, they were just brown boxes. The food was made in advance. You know, you would have a side of rice, maybe moros y cristianos, maybe like 2 slices of cucumber if you're lucky. This is hot. Like, he literally just made this and came out to see how it was. Delicious. Well, I think I timed things pretty well. Heading to Ranchon Don Pepe to get the bus again. Had a fantastic meal. It's been a really good day. I love this place. I actually sent a message on WhatsApp to my friend Giselle, sent her pictures, told her how it went. Obviously, she's happy to be in Brazil, but she said to me, there's nothing like Cuban beaches, and she was right. Fuego en mi alma.